On the higher portions, it's pretty dry.
The following footage comes from China, where a little kid rode his bike into the elevator and let his curiosity get the best of him because just as he was about to get out with his mum, the situation got bleak. Panic ensued as the mother desperately tried to wrangle her child's hand from the elevator door. Time was running out, and if help didn't arrive, the kid could lose his hand. Ever wondered what happens to an elevator during flash floods? Take a look at this.
Whew. Time to go to the lobby.
Well, it doesn't look good because, as it turns out, they keep trying to go up and down while water's pouring into them. Most people would take the emergency stairs in this situation. After all, there's a risk of electrocution, and taking a shower inside an elevator doesn't sound pleasant.
Bus down there and just leaking water everywhere. Damn. Yeah, I wouldn't. Nothing to worry about as far as like water damage. Yeah.
Going up.
This is like something you see out of like a zombie movie. You're like, dude, I know.
Hey, that elevator's going up.
While elevators in your regular apartment building are safe, the same can't be said for elevator shafts in a mine. These Chinese workers, for instance, were about to head up with their payload when they noticed something wasn't right. The cart wasn't lined up correctly, and they couldn't send it up like that, but they didn't realize that the cart's alignment was the least of their problems. In December 2024, a woman was filming herself in an elevator with her siblings when a loud thud disrupted their descent and left them trapped inside.
Don't worry, you're not. Open the door, please open the door, please open. Calm down, calm down. Calm down, calm down. Calm down, it's not open yet, calm down. Calm down, don't, calm down.
The woman had to remain calm, especially with her claustrophobic brother losing his breath during the incident, but unfortunately for them, the worst was yet to come.
I'm not okay. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Oh, please, calm down, calm down. Nobody tell them. Nobody tell them.
We've all seen dingy elevators in old buildings, but this one at a Soviet apartment complex in Georgia takes the cake because not only is it extremely creepy, but it's a disaster waiting to happen any second. In 2021, a group of friends in Omaha made a massive mistake by taking the elevator down to check out the flash floods because, before they could even reach the ground floor, this happened.
Okay, thank you. Shoot. Hold. Okay, can you please?
Luckily, they called 911 in the nick of time and survived the incident. In 2022, a man who was drunk out of his mind walked into an elevator with a baseball bat, but when one of the buttons didn't work on his first try, he snapped and completely lost control over himself. What made his behavior even worse, however, was the fact that the elevator was working. He was just too impatient to wait. Speaking of reckless behavior, the following footage comes from China, where people were going about their lives, heading up the elevators when two young boys decided to ruin their day.
然后他前面说没家人，你报警了。你把他们往里面扔，擦炮那个也拍上。对对，之前还扔别的，有别的也一起录了。
这是扔的他咋，然后我们的在后面。
好，这个他又准备扔了，开始擦了。天哪，好坏，妈的，天使。
The boys stood in the lobby, waiting for people to walk in, and as soon as the doors were closing, they lit the fireworks and threw them in. But here's the kicker, they did it to several people.
喂，
我在这儿，你在后面。你跟着两个人跟着进来，就是有人就跟着进来了。对，他推他，这个蛮轻的，这边一扔，我还跟老师另外一边，我就说我前面在那儿。
In Russia, a group of friends entered an elevator together, but they knew something was off as soon as the doors started closing, because not only did they get stuck, but the elevator itself was about to fall from the 7th floor.
Вы поплачете, сидите.
They were stuck inside for over 30 minutes, but luckily the elevator didn't fall. It landed on the catches and gave the response team enough time to open the doors and rescue them.
Нет, тут вообще пипец творится. Слышишь?
Это я, что что-нибудь.
Мы не этого боимся.
Тут какая-то фигня упала.
Чуть так представь, чтобы посидел бы кто-то там.
Да, ну короче, тут какая-то нас повели опять наверх, мы на первом были. Получается, нас наверх повели.
Не трогай.
Потом резко...
Witness a crazy incident from eastern China, where a young boy entered a lift and decided to pee on the panel. He thought it'd be a nice prank for whoever was coming after him, but it was a big mistake. Who would have thought pouring liquid would cause the circuitry to short? Well, not this boy, as he had to shout for rescue from the flaming elevator. Play stupid games and win stupid prizes. In 2021, a man bringing a pallet of metallic panels up the elevator forgot to pull the rope out of it, but to open the doors again and salvage his job, he landed himself in something much worse. faulty batteries are no joke, because when a man in China brought an electric motorcycle battery with him into an elevator, he had no idea about the hell that was about to rain down on him. In 2022, a hospital patient was being transferred between floors on his stretcher, but while the staff thought it'd be a quick journey through the elevator, things went horribly wrong when the elevator started moving. In yet another instance of people being reckless, a young kid entered an elevator and decided to pee on the buttons as a prank. And just like the other kid who tried the same thing, this one didn't go well either. The kid's smile faded real quick when he realized the numbers had stopped going up and he was stuck on the 6th floor. And now it was time for the desperation to kick in. He was rescued, and his parents were charged with a bill for repairing the unit. In November 2024, professional card game players were having the worst day of their lives in Brazil because, after losing their luggage and being stuck in a taxi for an hour, their hotel elevator decided to do this.
Did you just take a photo? Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I think it's fucking hilarious.
I think it's getting funnier by the minute.
I think it's funny.
Alright, so there's floor 1. Here's floor 2. They're trying to they're trying to open up this, but we literally cannot fit through there. If we were just a little feet up, it would have been so much better.
I can fit through that.
You can fit through that if you really wanted to.
You can fit through that. At an angle.
When it rains, it pours. People behave in strange ways, especially when they're called out on it. Take a look at this.
I started recording after you started screaming and yelling at me.
Before you started that, I said that.
You're talking about you have a fractured foot, but you're sitting here blocking the door.
Is the dog attacking you?
I never said he was. He's perfectly fine. He's the only calm one in the situation besides me.
I said, can you move out of my way? And you started attacking me.
Are you serious?
This woman, for instance, blocked a woman from using the elevator and refused to let her go home just because she didn't want anyone standing nearby. The woman could have walked out with her dog and the trash, yet she continued to block the elevator for several minutes. If that wasn't bad enough already, though, then watch what she did next.
I swear to God, are we doing this?
Can you back up off of me? Because if you put your hands on me, I'm going to call the police on you.
Go on the stairs.
I'm trying to go. Please back up.
I'm a government.
I do not care, but if you put your hands on me, I'm going to call the police. Can you see this? Do you see this? I just want somebody to, I'm just trying to get on the elevator.
In October 2011, a man was going up the elevator, but upon reaching the 3rd floor, the elevator just stopped. The man hit the door button, and to his surprise, the elevator did open, except that things weren't the way they were supposed to be.
We're stuck.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The pandemic was a strange time, with people behaving in even stranger ways. For instance, in 2021, this woman had a mental breakdown just because another masked person entered the elevator with her.
Thanks, we're supposed to maintain social distancing. I don't understand why you can't just politely step out to allow me out of the elevator when I asked you nicely while you have been wearing your mask.
You didn't ask me nicely. You said get the out the elevator.
I said that after you refused to get out. You have a giant ball. My girl. Look at you.
What made this incident strange was the fact that the elevator had already stopped on her floor, and all she had to do was step out. What did she really want?
I can't come close to you. Do you understand that I have an extremely compromised immune system? You are a delivery person incorrectly wearing the mask inside of a big building.
Is this incorrectly worn, guys? Is this incorrectly worn?
It wasn't like that the whole time.
In June 2023, a little boy in China who had a goat's lead tied to his waist tried bringing the animal with him into the elevator, but the doors closed before the goat could enter, and this happened. We've seen several people being rescued from stuck elevators, but not all rescue efforts go well. This man, for instance, was trying to scoot his way out of the elevator when a single wrong step turned into one of the biggest mistakes of his life. The following footage comes from Lucknow, India, where a 5-year-old girl walked into an elevator thinking she was going home, but got stuck on her way up. Most adults would have panicked in this situation, so a child screaming for help wasn't surprising. What was surprising, though, was the way she didn't give up. November 21st, 2024, a man casually walked into an elevator, pressed the button for his floor, and started using his phone. Sounds like a totally normal guy, right? Well, not exactly, because seconds later, something on his phone made him snap and lose control. In 2024, a girl in India was heading back to her apartment in an elevator when she had a terrifying experience because, when the doors opened on one of the floors, a dog walked in. The dog's owner had no control over his pet, letting the dog barge into the lift and attack the girl. What she did next, however, was surprising. The poor girl remained calm and wiped her tears before leaving. People do all sorts of strange stuff in elevators, but this one might just take the cake. Panic ensued as the drink spilled over and caught fire on the floor, and now, with the fire spreading, the man had already lost control of the situation. Witness a crazy incident as a racist woman decided to ruin a man's day for no reason.
And when the lift, continue. Spoil the lift, don't worry. You could have gone outside, continue. Now she's pressing alarm. They will see all you are doing.
The woman wasn't saying much, which in itself was an indictment because she kept pressing the emergency button. It was only when she realized everything had been recorded that she made her next move.
Continue, but she said, let it go. Who the you think you are, my dad? You held me ransom unwillingly. You held me in this lift. Don't worry. Continue. Your head like that, like NSAS. Don't worry. Give up. You. Oh, now you are leaving. Okay, I have everything. Idiot.
This should be an instructional video for what you shouldn't do in an elevator, because the construction worker thought he could block the doors with his tool. But while we've seen things get stuck in the door before, this is as bad as it gets. The following footage comes from Kazakhstan, where 5 people found themselves stuck inside an elevator between the first and the second floor. But as technical specialists rescued the last passenger from the cabin, the elevator started moving again. In China, an old man entered an elevator and casually pressed the closed doors button, thinking he was the only one around. But little did he know that he'd just made a massive mistake. The old man regretted his action the second he saw the group walk into the lift, but now it was too late, and all he could do was hope the young folks would spare him. In February 2020, a woman was about to leave the elevator with her son when she spotted a massive pit bull heading their way. But while she hesitated for a second, she could have never guessed what was actually about to happen. The dog's owner had no control over his pet as it sprinted into the elevator and started attacking the poor mother and her child. And even though he got the kid out of harm's way, the same couldn't be said about the woman. In May 2020, during the height of the pandemic, an Asian couple in Vancouver was trying to keep their distance from other people in an elevator when a racist man walked in and started ranting at them.
You're six feet away, and you're fine.
Take a.
Oh, you go away! Don't be stupid.
Excuse
All right,
me.
in that case, we can stay here all day.
That is very disrespectful. Very.
Oh, look in the mirror when you say that, woman.
The man was tiptoeing around his words for a while, but when the woman called him out, he decided to drop the act and show his true colors.
How dare you? Wow.
You are the type of person that we see on TV. Seriously.
No, you are the type of person that we see everywhere.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Care to elaborate?
Can you elaborate? Can you elaborate? You obviously aren't overly intelligent.
Okay, honey, let's just go.
Okay.
Witnessed a strange incident as a seemingly drunk man walked into an elevator and proceeded to hold on to the railing inside, except that he didn't realize just how much he was relying on it to maintain balance. You might say it was the man's fault for damaging the elevator, but someone else would have done the same thing later, and seeing who the next person in line was, this drunk guy probably saved the day. Never take your eyes off the path whenever you're walking into an elevator, because when this man in Malaysia got distracted for a split second and tripped, he ended up paying a heavy price for his mistake. Nature's call doesn't wait for anyone, and that's what happened to this woman who thought she could hold it in until she reached her apartment. But little did she know that the situation was far worse than she thought. After pacing around the elevator for a few seconds, the woman just couldn't hold it in anymore, and well, that's when she decided to relieve herself. What she did to hide her embarrassment, however, was fascinating. In 2022, a surveillance camera in a Russian elevator caught something very strange as two people who were drugged out of their minds walked in and displayed unhinged behavior. The men kept stumbling over themselves in the elevator, but the surprising thing was that they kept coming back to it, almost as if they had no idea what reality they were in anymore. In 2017, a child entered an elevator and held the door buttons for his friends to join him. But when his friends refused to enter, he pressed a bunch of other buttons at the same time and landed himself in big trouble. With the elevator not moving up or down, and the door not opening either, the kid was fully stuck inside. But while he panicked at the start, his next move was very unexpected. The following footage comes from China, where an old lady was about to exit the elevator when the doors closed on her. Unlike other normal people, however, she didn't want to wait for the doors to open. The elevator was not on a floor and there was a wall in front of her, but that didn't stop the old lady, who was about to do the unthinkable and risk her life. In 2020, surveillance cameras in Wales captured something truly mind-boggling as a man entered an elevator and decided to play the nastiest prank imaginable on other passengers. Most people don't realize just how dangerous elevators can be if you're not careful. This man, for instance, was casually taking his vacuum cleaner with him when he realized he'd made a big mistake because he forgot to pull the cord inside the elevator. Speaking of people not paying attention to their surroundings, this elevator technician in China was trying to fix the shaft and opened it up for maintenance, but right behind him, an unsuspecting delivery man was about to walk in, thinking it was a functioning cabin. Do you ever see something that unlocks a new fear in your heart? For instance, in 2016, a man was walking into an elevator when the situation got grim. November 21st, 2022, Chinese men got drunk out of their minds and were stumbling their way back to their hotel rooms when they accidentally tripped near the elevator door and smashed right through. The issue was, the elevator cabin wasn't there, and they actually fell down the shaft, and now the police officers had to shut everything down and rescue them before things got worse. If there's one thing you shouldn't do in an elevator, it's jumping. This woman, however, didn't get the memo and thought the cabin was more robust than it actually was, and well, she ended up paying heavily for her mistake. The following footage comes from India, where a delivery man walked into an elevator with a dog and its owner, and, while the animal looked calm, There was something off about the way it was behaving. The delivery man was already nervous around the dog, but he could have never imagined what was about to happen when the doors opened. The following footage comes from Boston, where an elevator malfunctioned and started beeping. Not knowing what was happening, the man inside started recording the incident. The next thing that happened, however, was nothing short of terrifying.
I am in this elevator right now that is malfunctioning. It's gonna bank. What the f***?
In 2023, a Pakistani man was about to walk into an elevator with his child when his world turned upside down. Panic ensued as the man struggled his way outside the elevator shaft and started screaming for help. He didn't realize, though, that this was not even the worst thing that could have happened. In April 2020, while most people were trying to save themselves from the pandemic, some were actually trying to hurt others, and this man in an apartment building elevator is the perfect example of the latter. The man seemed normal as he entered the elevator and started going up, but he had something evil in his mind because just as he was about to get off, he pulled a dangerous prank. Some dingy elevators are not fit for anyone, and this, right here, is a textbook example of that, because not only does it glitch out when buttons are pressed, but it doesn't line up with the floors either. With rusted metal and cobwebs hanging off, this elevator is a disaster waiting to happen. But when has that ever stopped people from risking their lives?
Денис, дай поехать!
In 2024, a Chinese man dragged a woman into an elevator and started assaulting her. But while he thought he could continue his vile actions in the cabin, the door opened and a security guard spotted him. The guard was initially confused by the situation, but when he realized what was happening, he had no mercy for the guy who, let's be fair, absolutely deserved this bit of karma. On the flip side, some men do act heroic under stressful situations. This biker, for instance, was in an elevator with a woman and her baby, but when the elevator started malfunctioning, he didn't even think about saving himself. The following footage comes from Malaysia, where a woman stood in an elevator with a bottle of hot water in her bag. But while she didn't seem evil at first glance, things changed when a person with Down syndrome joined her in the cabin. We've all seen people missing their chance to enter an elevator, but this incident from 2010 is truly bizarre because a man on a mobility scooter was determined to get inside. Most normal people would have waited for the elevator to come back up in this situation, but not this guy, because what he did after his initial attempt was reckless, to say the least. The following footage comes from China, where a little child ran into an elevator before his parents and got separated. The poor kid was completely lost and couldn't even reach the buttons to go back to his parents, but at least he was smart enough to not walk out on the wrong floor. Thankfully, the elevator reached his parents eventually. In 2014, a man entered an elevator, and as soon as he pressed the button for his floor, he knew something was wrong. In 2022, a Russian man took some illegal substances and decided it would be a good idea to go outside. What followed, however, was a panic attack, which started as soon as he got into an elevator. The man kicked the elevator door and broke it, trapping himself inside. And now, with the panic attack on top, things were only about to get worse. In 2022, a woman got into an elevator after a fight with her boyfriend, but when he decided to join her in the cabin, she lost her mind. The woman refused to talk to her boyfriend and kept assaulting him. But the most disturbing thing about this incident was that, just 2 months later, she was arrested for his murder. Some parents are way too careless with their children. This woman, for instance, entered an elevator with her son and let him wreak havoc inside the cabin. The kid kept pressing buttons randomly over and over again, so it was only a matter of time before something broke. The following footage comes from a coal mine in China where a worker was getting ready to load his cart into the elevator, except that he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings. Witness yet another incredible incident from China, where a woman walked into the elevator with her dog, but by the time she realized the lead was stuck outside the doors, it was already too late. In 2023, maintenance folks were working on an open elevator inside a residence building when they decided to leave for a few minutes without shutting it off. And well, leaving the elevator shaft exposed was always going to be a recipe for disaster. In 2018, a Russian man found himself stuck between floors inside an elevator, but while most people would have waited for help to arrive, this man decided to take matters into his own hands.